Hello and welcome everyone to this new video on Azure, and in today's class I'll show you how to deploy a domain controller within the Azure region. So let's get started. I am on my Azure portal and I'm on the main screen. From the left hand side under new you'll select virtual machines and click on the add button because I'll be deploying a Windows Server domain controller, so I'll grab Windows Server, and over here you have all the options from 2008, 2012, 2016. And for this class I will select 2016 Data Center Edition and click on the create button. Now let's give the name for this server, which is going to be my domain controller, so I'll give it DC 2016. In the VM disk type I have the option of SSD or HDD. Because it's a domain controller I want to have a little bit rich resources on this one, so I'll select solid state hard drive and I'll give the name, which is Girish, and I'll give the password, and for this demonstration I'll create a new resource group. If you have existing one you can use the same, and in the location you have the options from selecting within the Asia Pacific, North America, Europe, so there are a lot of options, but in this case I would like to select Canada Central and click on the OK button. Now under the sizing it automatically recommends some of the options for domain controller. So as you can see you have DS1, DS2, DS11, but if I click on view all you can see that it unlocks all the options or all the categories which are available within that Azure region. So if I can scroll down you can see that I have a D series virtual machine, I have GLF, so a lot of options to choose from, but for this session I'll select DS2 V2 version with the 2 core and 7 gig of RAM and click on select button. And under the settings you can select from the managed disk, which I will highly recommend. There is something what you call managed versus unmanaged disk. There are a lot of benefits of having managed disk on a virtual machine, for which I will take a separate class, but for this session I'll keep everything to the default. So as you can see that the subnet, the public IP, all these things were automatically deployed. If you want you can also deploy antivirus and anti-malware by going into the extension, and you can also have the option of high availability. So basically in case if it's a very critical server, it will create a high availability set, so in case one server goes down you have the other one up and running in Azure. So I'll click on the OK button, leaving everything to the default. It will run a final validation, and the validation was passed, and you get a brief summary, and I'll click on the create button. It will take a couple of minutes to get deployed. If I expand the notification you can see that the deployment is in progress. So we'll wait for this virtual machine to be deployed. So here we go. So it seems that the machine has been spun up, and what we'll do is that we'll click on the connect button and open the RDP session. So let me try to connect it and click on more choices. So I'll use the username and password which I used to create the virtual machine. Click on the OK button, and now we have a RDP session with the virtual machine. So it took literally 5 minutes to get that machine up and running. So it was pretty fast. So after this machine is up and running, we'll be deploying the AD services on this machine so that we can upgrade this to a domain controller. So this is a fresh install of Server 2016 Data Center Edition. Okay, so the first thing I want to make sure that the name is the one that I gave when I deployed. So as you can see, it's DC 2016. It is in workgroup. It is not part of any domain, and that is the idea, to make it a domain controller. The first thing I want to do is I want to change the time zone. So let me change it to my time zone, the region I'm here in. Okay, and click on the OK button. So the time has been changed, and rest everything will come in a moment. But let's go to the uh, dashboard, and in add roles and feature, select next. It will be a role-based or feature-based installation, and this is the virtual machine that we are talking about, which is DC 2016. And because we will be promoting this to a domain controller, we'll be adding Active Directory domain services. It will automatically pick all the features that will be needed to promote this. So I'll click on add feature. It will be also acting as a DNS server, so I'll select that and click on add features too. And it is saying that no static IP address were found on this one, but we can do that later on. So click on next. Click next again, and I will click on restart the destination server automatically if required. Say yes and click on the install button. So basically, because we'll be promoting this to a domain controller, so roles and features such as DNS and Active Directory domain services will be installed, and then we'll be trying to log into as the to this machine as the domain that we'll be giving in the following steps. So we'll wait for this process to be completed, and then when the next window comes up, we'll give the domain name, DNS, and all those things. So the installation was completed successfully. So let me just close this. And as you can see that there is one exclamation mark in the notification. So I will expand that and click on promote the server to the domain controller. And now in the deployment configuration, it is asking to select the deployment operation. So if the first option is add a domain controller to an existing domain, which we don't have. The second is add a new domain to an existing forest. Because this is a fresh installation, we don't have any existing forest, so we'll be creating a new forest, and the name of our domain will be sharma.com. Click on the next button, and this domain controller will be acting as a DNS server. It will be also as a GC or a global catalog. This is not a read-only domain controller or RODC, so we were not going to check this one. And in the DSRM or directory services restore mode, you need to provide a password. So let me, yes, another function that you need to keep in mind is that what forest functional level you want to have. You can always change it. You can choose from 2012, 2008, whatever is depending upon the environment you want to have. But in my case, I'll leave it to Windows Server 2016. I'll just wait for a moment till this gives me the option of giving the DSRM password. Here we go. It took some time, but should be good now. Click on the next button, and don't worry about this one. We don't want to create any DNS delegation, so you can select next over here. And in the NetBoys domain name, let's see if it automatically detects sharma.com or I need to provide if it doesn't. So yes, you can see that the NetBoys domain name it automatically picks up, so it's Sharma, which is good. But if you want, you can always provide you whatever you want, but in my case that seems to be fine. And this gives you the location of the ADDS database, log files, and system volume, which is okay. And you get a brief summary of the selections that we have made, which seems to be good. And I'll select on next button, and it's verifying the prerequisite for the domain control operation. So you get the prerequisite check. So as you can see that all prerequisite check were passed successfully. So we'll click on the install button. And from now, the process to deploy the domain controller will start. So as you can see that the server was successfully configured, and because we selected the option of restarting the computer if it needs to be, so it is asking to be signed out. So let me just close this, and it is basically restarting the domain controller. So let me click on the connect button again and fire up the RDP session. And now we will try to log in as a member of the domain to this domain controller, and let's see if we are successful or not. Okay, let me just expand the notification. So deployment was good. Let me click on the connect again, and now let me try to give the domain credentials. So remember, my domain name is Sharma, and the user that I gave was Girish, which is myself. Let me see if I am able to log into the domain. Click on the yes button, and seems to be that we are in. Let me try to connect it again. I thought it took the credentials, but let me try again. Now it should be okay. It is taking some time, we'll have to wait till all the updates and all the group policy clients have been applied. So let's wait for that to be completed. Okay, so it seems like everything is good to go. So let's check this if I'm logged into the domain controllers. If I go to the local server, you can see that it's now not anymore work group. The domain is sharma.com, the one that we gave, and all the services are up and running in this one. And if I go under the tools, you can see that all the things which is part and parcel of a domain controller, such as Active Directory Administrative Center, ADDT, which is Active Directory Domains and Trust, Active Directory Sites and Services, Active Directory Users and Computers, DNS, everything, all the things are there on this computer. So everything seems to be fine, and this domain controller is up and running. So this video was dedicated on how to deploy a domain controller in the Azure region. I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.